Hey guys, what's going on? Thought I'd do a review of Insider Weekly by Capitalist Exploits today. So, I was a member of this probably 2 years ago now. I did a $1 trial. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but it's worth checking out their website, and I'll leave a link in the description to my review article here, where you can find the link for the $1 trial if it exists, and there's no promises because it seems to come and go. And it's important because it is an expensive program, but it's also a really, really good program. One of the most legit programs I've come across. It's an investing program rather than a day trading or options type of program. It's Contrarian investing. And that's really a style that most of the world's richest and most successful, well-known investors use. People like Warren Buffett, George Soros, all these types of people. So this is something that's worth learning, especially for longer term capital gains. So let's get started on the review. So I wrote this article, gives a brief overview of what it is. Basically, they use something called asymmetric investing, which is a little bit like these venture capitalists or angel investors, where they find something that's really undervalued, and most of the time it'll stay undervalued, but that 1 or 2 times out of 10 that the particular company they're investing in will soar and make 100% gains or 500% gains or something that will completely outweigh all the other ones that were either small losers or stayed the same. So that's what asymmetric investing is. Basically, they're looking for stocks and sectors that are just totally beaten down, like stuff we would never touch as momentum traders, which a lot of us are. Basically, when blood is on the streets. So the old Warren Buffett thing, be greedy when others are fearful. So contrarian investing, it's not easy. Like, you can't just randomly find a stock that is completely destroyed, because the chances are it's destroyed for a real reason and it may never recover. Maybe it was a scam or whatever. Really, contrarian investing, it requires a lot more creative thinking. It requires deep macroeconomical insight and expertise. You got to be able to look at the markets and the global events that are happening that could potentially have caused the sector or the stocks in that sector to be completely destroyed. It takes insight that you have to realize that these things are temporary, and be able to see that these things may recover and bounce back massively. And that's not easy. It takes a lot of experience. And luckily, the guy that runs Insider Weekly, this guy Chris McIntosh, he has that experience. He's been a professional fund manager for something like 20 years now. He really is one of these guys that I describe as spicy. I think it's just talking about another guy in those terms, where they don't mince their words. They're super smart, super experienced, but they don't suffer fools gladly. And they say it like it is, like straight shooters, you know. So he looks for these charts and these sectors that are completely destroyed, like the total bloodbaths, and he looks to see if he can figure out which ones have a high chance of bouncing back when there's some sort of sector rotation happens. So this is him. He's the founder of Capitalist Exploits and Glenorchy Capital. I find this interesting name. Glenorchy is a place in Scotland, not too far from where I grew up. It's a beautiful place. But Glenorchy Capital in this case is a private capital money management company that really specialises in high net worth individuals managing their money. They describe it as boutique. So, sounds intriguing. If you're a high net worth individual, it might be worth researching Chris McIntosh and Glenorchy Capital. Like I said, he's super, super credible. He has worked for some of the top financial institutions in the world, JP Morgan, Lehman Brothers. He didn't go to an Ivy League school, so he doesn't sit back and from his high ivory tower of academia. It sounds like he's more like a practical type of person and not really into theoretical knowledge, but he's been very successful at what he does. He's also really well traveled. He's lived in 7 countries apparently. You can find some interviews with him. Really interesting guy. Recommend that. He's joined in the weekly Insider newsletter by Brad McFadden. Apparently they grew up in South Africa together, and he does a lot of the research behind the stock picks as well. So yeah, I mean, Brad doesn't mince his words either. He calls these stocks and sectors absolute toxic waste, which is kind of funny. The idea behind the weekly insider newsletter is you get, as the name would suggest, you get one newsletter every week on particular stocks and sectors. They look at the fundamental analysis of the sectors, like capital flow in and out. They look at the global political winds that might affect it, and whether these things will bounce back, depending on a lot of different factors. One example I'm given here, which is ridiculous, but I said cryptocurrency or blockchain. At this point, it is really overly hyped and popular, but there was a point where it really wasn't. So it's something that you could have revolved into early on, and they always say if you'd put in like $100 into Bitcoin, you'd be a multi-millionaire by now if you held it. So, what do you get inside their premium service called Insider Weekly? Well, it's really interesting. So every issue, they have a picture sent in by a subscriber of like a sunset, which I've never heard of any real subscription service doing before, but I thought it was a kind of a quirky touch. Pretty interesting. Now, the Insider Weekly isn't for the faint-hearted. It's up to 40 pages of potential investments, high-level overviews of the macroeconomics that are underlying their ideas for investments. So, there's a lot of stuff about inflation recently, apparently, and how bad like the world looks overall. It's definitely something that it really focuses on the negative, but Chris is really good at turning that around and making it spin on, there's money to be made even though the economy is going down the pan, inflation's through the roof. He's really good at changing the mindset and turning something into a positive. So that's really the essence of it, is you're getting this weekly newsletter, 40 to 50 pages of due diligence on stocks and sectors, what they might be doing, and what you should probably buy if you want to be positioned for a bounce or a sector rotation. So he is a seasoned hedge fund manager, which is really cool. Not a lot of these services can boast people that have the credibility and expertise that Chris does. So let's have a look at the website. This is the Capitalist Exploits website. They have some really good videos on here, explaining a lot more clearly than I just did what the Insider Weekly involves. So let me show you down here. Here we go. So this is what the Insider Weekly newsletter that's emailed to you has. So there's a portfolio. So you can go through that, the ongoing guidance stuff. So via trade alerts that you get all these investment ideas. There is some educational stuff you can read about. Question and answer sessions. Of course, the weekly newsletter itself. So each week you'll be receiving Insider Weekly, which provides ongoing analysis and commentary about world events, trends. This is something that would be super valuable for any investor, right? I mean, pretty good stuff. There's a forum as well, so you can chat amongst the subscribers themselves. Given our team invests their own money in every idea we recommend, you can be rest assured our incentives are 100% aligned. Pretty cool. And then one of the best things is we offer 100% money back guarantee within 30 days. Now you can argue that these are longer term investments, and how do you know they're any good within 30 days? You don't. But it's still nice to have a 30-day money back guarantee because the service is quite expensive. So let's see what the price actually is. So it's $2,499 annually, so you're going to need a decent sized account to make sure that you're making that money back. But if you're doing these long-term investments, you could be talking like 6 figures, which would make this like 6-figure investment capital, which would make this seem like a minuscule fee, as long as they're profitable, right? They have a lot of good reviews, probably one of the most, like if you go to Trustpilot, for example, they have 208 reviews, 4.8 overall. Really, they're really highly rated. So if you've been looking for something like this type of longer term investment strategies, then this one might be for you. So yeah, I'll leave a link in the description. You can go check out my article, and from there you can find all the stuff that you need to see if this is a newsletter that you might want. Alright guys, till next time. Cheers.